All right, now that we've talked about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, now we're going to talk about composition of two functions. I know that this looks like the word fog here. It's not. It stands for f of g. So that little o stands for the word of. So it's f of g of x. So we're taking function g and we're plugging it into function f. So let's take a look at what this is going to feel like when we go through example 3. So we're told f of x is 2 to the power of x and g of x is 7 minus x. We want to find f of g of 4. When I'm doing these problems, I always focus on what's going on the inside and then work my way out of the parentheses. So g of 4 is what's on the very inside of these parentheses. So that's the first thing I'm going to find, is I'm going to plug 4 into function g. So 7 minus 4 and get 3. That means I'm going to take that answer and plug that in where g of 4 was located. So now I'm really looking for f of 3. So I'm going to take 3 and plug that into function x, or plug that into function f. So I'm going to have 2 to the power of 3, which is 8. So if I were to write this as like one complete problem versus this is broken into 2 steps, it would say f of g of 4 equals 8. All right, let's look at one more. Example 4, f of x is 2 to the power of x and g of x is 7 minus x. But now I want to find g of f of 5. So notice on the inside is f of 5. So that's the first thing I'm going to calculate. 2 to the power of 5. Oops, I'm sorry. Yeah, f of 5. Okay, so 2 to the power of 5. Sorry, I was looking at my notes and I have it written differently in my notes, which is fine. So 2 to the power of 5 is 32. And now I'm going to take 32 and plug that into function g. So 7 minus 32, which is negative 25. So again, we're finding the answer to the first equation, taking that value and plugging it into the next equation. So here's a try on your own problem. So give this a try, pause the video, and press play to see the answer. So f of g of 3 means I'm first going to find g of 3. How do I want to write this? So I'm going to find g of 3 first because that's what's on the inside. G of 3 means I'm taking 3 squared, which is 9. So now I'm going to take 9 and plug that into function f. So 2 times 9 minus 3. And that is going to give me 15. So my final answer is 15. The next one, f of 4. So I first need to evaluate what f of 4 is. So 2 times 4 minus 3, which is 5. Then I'm going to take 5 and plug that into function g. And I get a final answer of 25. All right, algebraic composition is the last thing we're going to be talking about in this lesson. Algebraic composition is where we take an entire equation and plug it into another function. So I have f of x is equal to x squared minus 1, and g of x is equal to x divided by 1 minus x. And I want to write the composition of f of g of x. Notice that function g is what's getting plugged into function f. G is what's on the inside. So I'm going to take this entire function g and I'm going to plug it in or replace or substitute it in for the x variable. So f of g of x, it's not going to be x squared anymore. Instead, it's going to be what function g was, which is x over 1 minus x, and then squared, because I'm writing function f, and minus 1. I do have a domain restriction. My domain restriction is that x is not allowed to equal 1. So x can be an element, oops, that's not how you write that, of any real number with the exception of 1, because that would give us 0 in our denominator. All right. So let's go through a couple of examples of this. So in example 5, I have f of g of x. So function g is what's on the inside here. So I'm going to take function g, which is x squared, and I'm substituting that in to function f. So instead of x minus 4, that x is going to be replaced by the entire other equation. So it's going to say x squared minus 4. Now if we do this the other way and we compose them in the opposite direction, so I take all of f of x and I plug it into g, I'm going to get not x squared, I'm going to get x minus 4 squared. All right, let's do one last one and then this lesson will be wrapped up. So it says to find f of g of x. So I'm taking function g, the square root of x plus 2, and I'm substituting that in for the x variable in the other equation. So f of g of x is 3 parentheses square root of x plus 2 and then minus 4. You could do a little bit of simplifying if you wanted to here. Not that you have to, but you could. You could take the 3 in and multiply it into the parentheses to get 3 square root of x plus 6 and minus 4. And then that would give you 3 square root of x plus 2, but it's not required. All right, that is the end of 6.5. Let myself or Mr. Brasser know if you have any questions.